Hello everyone, you're watching End Time Counterpoint. My name is Dan, thanks for tuning in today. I've titled this episode, Same Song, Different Verse for a reason, and I hope that you will understand as we go through this discussion that end time Bible prophecy is just an offshoot of ancient forms of divination, and that this has been going on for a long, long time. And there's a reason why these guys engage in this activity. Now, I've talked a little bit about this before, but I think this excerpt from the life and the journey and the experience of Paul should really hit home for us and really make us understand why these guys do what they do today. Now, the first thing I want to do today is read from the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 16, and then I want to stop and make a comment about a word that is used here in verse 16. Luke writes, that it came to pass as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying. Wow, so let me stop right there and just make an observation about the word soothsaying. I think it's the only time it's used in the New Testament in this form. But when I read the Greek word that was translated into soothsaying, and then read the Greek words that were used to come up with that Greek word that was translated as soothsaying, we get the idea of people who have this urge and this desire and this craving so strong to be a fortune teller or a prophet or a soothsayer. And sometimes the urge and the craving gets so strong that it can drive them mad. But this person here, who was a slave girl, because she was owned by her masters, as Luke writes, she had this spirit of divination, and I'm sure that she appeared sometimes as sort of a raving type prophetess and soothsayer. But one thing she did was that she made a lot of money for her masters. And you think, wow, this really has been going on for a long time. And then you think, wow, these guys today who are doing all this divination in the name of God are really nothing but modern day soothsayers like this young girl here. And the reason is the same, is that they make a lot of money, except they're not making it for somebody else, they're making it for themselves today. That's the only difference. The idea and the actual process of doing this is the same, right? Because they have this craving, this urge to be seen as this great prophet and fortune teller and diviner of things. And I think that the urge is so strong that at least one person today has this spirit of divination, because once you nurture that urge and that craving, you kind of open the door for these spirits to come in. And quite honestly, I think Perry Stone has this spirit of divination, just like this young girl did here. And he's doing it for the same reason, for the notoriety and the money. Now, let me just throw up a screenshot here of Perry Stone's channel and just let you think about the titles that he's using for his videos. Let's run down a few of these titles. Prophetic developments and their impact. An incident at the Western Wall. The Ark of the Covenant. Inside information about the tribulation. 1,000 fires in New York City. AI and the Antichrist. Christians who are being killed and Trump possibly intervening. I mean, seriously, folks, when you look at these titles and just listen to them, read them out loud and listen to them, this guy sounds like he's turning the Bible into the National Enquirer. I mean, listen to this stuff. Why would any Christian entertain this stuff and believe just half of what he's going on about? Doesn't he sound kind of like what the Greek words describe, like kind of a raving madman? And he's going on and divining all these things, and one of the things he does quite frequently is make Christians think that he has inside scoop on things, and it's like, no, there's no way. I've read one of his books, and he kind of insinuated that there's a government official that's giving him top secret information. And I'm thinking, why would any government official give a TV preacher top secret information? Because he's just going to take it and blast it all over social media. And that's exactly what Perry Stone wants you to think, that he has all this inside information. He's divining all these things, right? From the Spirit of God and from all these people who's feeding him all this top secret information. This guy has just about turned into a raving madman. And when you look at his videos and you listen to the titles, you think, wow, this guy should be working for the National Enquirer. I'm surprised that he doesn't have videos about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and alien abductions. Well, maybe that's upcoming, right? But the spirit of divination has crept into his life, I think. And you listen to his messages, look at the titles, read the words, look at the pictures. You can really see that the spirit of divination has crept into his life. And Christians need to stay away from it. Now, let me go back to the story of Paul and this girl who had the spirit of divination. What was his response after hearing this girl? Let me read verse 18 and let you think about what Paul did. In verse 18, Luke says that this girl was going on with this madness for days. But Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came out the same hour. Now, my question for Christians is this. When are you going to say enough is enough? Right? When are you going to be tired, sick and tired of being jerked around by all these guys? All they're doing is soothsaying and fortune telling and prophesying and divining, all for the almighty dollar, right? They don't have to make gain for somebody else like this girl did for her masters. They're doing it for themselves these days. And when are Christians going to be like the Apostle Paul and say, enough is enough? I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of being merchandised. I'm tired of hearing things that are not the true gospel of Christ. When are Christians going to get sick enough to do that? You know, in the old Frankenstein movie, they showed up with pitchforks and torches and said, we want this Frankenstein monster destroyed. And you know, Christians sort of metaphorically need to do that with all this end-time prophecy BS, right? We've heard enough of this. We need to do away with this Frankenstein monster and be like the Apostle Paul and say, enough is enough. I don't want to hear this anymore. When are Christians going to do that? Well, I'd like to think that Christians would return to more critical thinking. And you think, wow, we're supposed to just be emotional about everything, spiritual about everything. No, one of the prophets said, consider your ways. Think about what you are doing. And that's what we need to do today. Think about what we're doing. Think about what we're listening to. Think about what we're hearing. Understand that it's not of God. These are people who have the spirit of divination, and they're trying to prophesy and foretell only to make $1 and to make a lot of money, right? You don't believe me? Let me conclude this discussion today with something from the book of Micah. This is going to open your eyes. You got to hear this. In Micah chapter 3, God is speaking to the leadership of Israel, and he says this, the heads, the leaders thereof, judge for reward, the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. Oh my gosh, folks, how plainer does it have to be? Right? God rebuked the leaders of Israel because the leaders were taking bribes to make judgments. The priests were hiring themselves out to teach false doctrine, just like they are today. And the prophets were divining for money. And yet they're saying that the Lord is among us and no evil will come upon us. What does that sound like? Doesn't that sound like the rapture theory? No evil will come upon us. Hal Lindsey says, we're out of here, right? We're out of here. Even though Paul told Timothy, endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ, Hal Lindsey says, we're out of here. No harm will come to us. But he is one of the prophets who's divining for money, just like the rest of them are. And yet they have the gall to say, is not the Lord among us? Isn't he on our side? No harm will come to us. Folks, it's a delusion. They're doing all this. They're pretending to tell the future and to forecast what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day and the next day and next week and next month. And they're just doing this for gain, for money. You know, Jesus said in the book of Matthew, he said, take no thought for tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself. Sufficient today is the evil thereof. And that's where Christians are blowing a golden opportunity. They've been listening to this end time prophecy nonsense for so long that all they can think about is their escape mechanism and how that no evil will come upon us. And they're listening to the lies and the propaganda, and they're blowing the opportunity to witness to the world the true gospel. They're blowing it. All because they have itching ears, as Paul said, and they're seeking out people to tell them what they want to hear. Just like in the book of Micah, the priests were hiring themselves out to teach false doctrine. And the prophets were prophesying falsely for money. And yet they have the gall to say, is not the Lord among us? No harm will come to us. Folks, it's the same song, but a different verse they want you to sing. And when are you going to be like the Apostle Paul and say, enough is enough? We're tired of the lies and the propaganda. Pretending to foretell all these things in the name of God and promising falsely that no harm will come to us, when the Bible tells us that we need to be a good soldier of Jesus Christ and fight this good fight of faith against the forces of evil. When are Christians going to say enough is enough and quit singing the verses these guys are adding to the same old song? All right, folks, my name is Dan. I want to thank you again for watching End Time Counterpoint. If you've enjoyed this discussion, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I really need your help building up my subscriber base. I think there are things here that people need to hear. So please help me subscribe to this channel. You can also help me by looking up my book. It's called Blinded by the Rapture, and you can find it at Apple Books or Barnes & Noble. And you can find it very easily. Just do a title search and you'll be able to look it up, find it, and hopefully get it, and it will help you in your Bible study. So once again, folks, my name is Dan. I want to thank you for your kind attention today. Don't forget to subscribe to End Time Counterpoint. I will see you in the next episode.